welcome to part 2 of Catching the Unbroken Waves. So in part 1 we looked at positioning, and in this video we're going to be looking at paddling, angling and the C word, commitment. So starting off with everyone's favourite, paddling, and you really have to paddle hard to catch the unbroken waves. Again, it's one of those things that you can kind of get away with sloppy paddling in the white water because the way the water molecules are moving, they're sort of shoving you forward. But we don't have that effect in the unbroken waves. So you've really got to paddle hard. Try to match the speed of the wave that you're trying to catch. I like to use the analogy of an airplane taking off. If you think of an airplane, it's taxiing along the runway and then it starts accelerating and accelerating, and then just before it takes off, it switches into turbo mode and then it takes off. And you've got to be like that when you're paddling to catch a wave. You go fast, and then those final 4 or 5 paddles, you've really got to give it everything you've got before you can pop up. Make sure that you're using your eyes to look back at the wave. The classic mistake that beginners will make is they'll see this wave, they're super excited about it, they turn around, they start paddling. It's almost like they've got horse blinkers on. They don't look back at the wave, and it's kind of like they're just leaving it to luck, because often waves won't quite perform as you may have originally anticipated. So you've always got to be looking back at the wave. Look back over both shoulders. When you look back over your shoulder though, make sure you don't sort of swerve your board in that direction as well. Your board has to maintain its course. So you've got to sort of be like an owl and be able to sort of swivel your neck back, and an owl will keep its body still facing forwards. Also, by looking back at the wave, if something has gone wrong, if suddenly the wave goes really, really steep and you think, oh, crivens, I can't do this one, well, then you can pull back. You can sit back on your board, you can pull the rails towards you, or you can sort of hop to the side, make sure you hold on tight to your surfboard, and then you can let that wave just sort of pass you by. And by looking back at the waves, and we talked about this in part 1 as well, how you really want your brain to be like this computer and you're storing a memory bank full of waves. So you want to have thousands of waves in your memory bank. And by looking back at those waves, you're going to be learning so much about them. And if you do make a mistake, if it does go wrong and you have a spectacular wipeout, well, at least you look back at that wave, you'll remember what it looked like, and then the next time you see a similar wave, well, hopefully you won't make the same mistake. Another aspect of surfing the unbroken waves is angling. Now, if you're a total beginner, don't worry about this too much, because those first few sessions, people tend to just sort of pop up and they go dead straight towards the beach. But you want to be thinking about working towards angling your takeoff. So why do we angle our takeoff? Well, first of all, because it allows us to stay on the open face of the wave. If you just go dead straight, if you sort of follow this line of action here, you're going to find yourself very quickly back in the white water. But if you can cut along the wave face, then this is where you can kind of do the cool stuff, the maneuvers, the cutbacks. Also, by angling your takeoff, you're going to negotiate that drop slightly easier as well, because if you just go straight, you get this sudden sort of whoosh really fast down the wave face. But by angling, you sort of graduate that drop, and it can actually be a little bit easier. So how do we angle the takeoff? Well, it can start often with the paddling. So if I want to pop up and go right, because I can see it's a right-hand wave, those last few paddles, I'm going to pull a little bit harder with my left arm, and I'm going to point my nose about 20 degrees, not too much, 20, 25 degrees in the direction that I want to go. So my board and my body, I'm like an arrow, I'm pointing where I want to go. I use my eyes throughout, so I keep my gaze in the direction I want to go throughout the pop-up. Definitely when I'm in my chicken wings, I'm looking to where I want to go. When I pop up, I can put maybe a little bit more pressure in the inside rail of my surfboard. So the inside rail is the rail that's closest to the wave face. So if you're going front side, that means a tiny bit more pressure in the toes, or if you're going backside, a tiny bit more pressure in the heels. And when you're choosing your line along the wave, I like to use the analogy of cars. If you choose this line here, this is probably the easiest line, this mid-height point of the wave. That is going to be a great line to go along. And you're kind of going to be like a Nissan Micra. You're reliable, you're stable, you're going to reach your destination with no fuss at all. You're not super flashy, but you're getting the job done. If you choose this line here, you just go dead straight, well, you're a bit like a Ford Pinto. You're probably going to break down, you're not going to reach your destination, it's not going to be like a super satisfactory trip. If you go really high up the wave face, if you're sort of looking at the lip as you pop up, well, you're going to be like a Lamborghini. You're going to go really, really fast. You're definitely going to reach your destination. You're going to reach the destination first. There's going to be a frisson of danger. You're super flashy. Kind of people are probably checking you out and that sort of thing. Just a quick exception. Really good surfers will actually drop down. They'll use the Ford Pinto route, but they have such good drive that they manage to get up the wave face as well. That is probably maybe 2% of the surfing population who can actually do that. So don't worry about that too much if you're a beginner. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about today was commitment. You've really got to want it. You've really got to go for it. When you're popping up, really think about getting your weight forward. Don't lean back. So get your weight on your front foot. Your front foot is your anchor. That's a safe place to get the weight. If you imagine a skater who's dropping into a half pipe, and even if you've never skated before, you can understand that the skater, he has to get the weight forward. If you lean back, it's going to kind of go wrong. And it's the same with surfing. So okay, thanks ever so much for watching. Bye.